Hey, it's Kevin Long with the New Warehouse Podcast here at ProMat 2023, day 3 in the booth. I'm joined by Smitha Raphael and also Brian Kirst of SnapFulfil. So, both of you, welcome to the booth. How are you?
Thanks for having us.
Definitely. Happy to have you here. Happy to be talking about SnapFulfil and some of the new stuff going on with you guys as well. I think before we dive into the new stuff, let's get a little baseline, I guess. What is SnapFulfil? What is it that you guys do?
Well, SnapFulfil is our product. The company's Synergy Logistics in North America, here in the US. SnapFulfil, our warehouse management system. We actually had a product before that called Locator for many years, even now. But SnapFulfil, essentially a cloud-based WMS. Okay. We have customers all around the world, predominantly in Europe, North America, service 3PLs, B2B, e-com clients, and across various industries as well. And it's an entire package, so we actually partner with hardware providers, provide implementation services, and set up installation, training, etc. So all bundled into one.
Yeah, so really the differentiator for us is speed to value. So we're able to configure and implement in 45 to 70 days. And it's a highly configurable rules engine. So for customers who want to self-configure as well, if you have multi-sites, we're able to give that capability to them, so they're able to roll out their sites, across at their pace. So that highly configurable rules engine is really what drives the value at SnapFulfil. In my background, 3PLs, having that capability to configure when you have new customers, new processes, or changing environments, new sites, having that capability to meet those challenges on the very high pressure timelines of a 3PL is critical. So as Smitha said, we're implemented 3PLs, retail, distribution, a lot of cross-docking environments, things like that. So the use cases, and we scale. So we have small warehouses, with a couple of users, 6, 10 users, but we have multi-site, hundreds of users across an organization. So there's scalability there with the system.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that fast implementation, and then like you touched on the scalability, is such a great thing to be able to have. And especially if we look at it from a 3PL perspective as well. And I know you got some experience there, right? But especially looking at it that way, and how you grow over time, like you want to be able to put something in place, especially if you're an independent operator, and that can grow with you, and you're not going to do all these other changes of system, change, right? So it's really a great thing that you're able to bring that speed and also the scalability as well, as you mentioned. And I do want to touch quickly, because I know you were a customer of SnapFulfil before, right? So tell us a little bit about I guess that experience, so people can understand like how SnapFulfil kind of plays the role in a 3PL.
Sure. So for 8 years, I was a customer at SnapFulfil. I co-founded 2 3PLs. Right. So we took both of those from concept to growth. Speaking of my first 3PL, we started out about 20,000 square feet of space, 6 users on SnapFulfil, and doing 50, 100 orders a day. We scaled that up to 45 customers, 300,000 square feet of space, a multi-site environment, and 15,000 shipments a day. 80% e-commerce, so we had a nice mix of e-commerce and B2B, and we did that all within the Snap environment. Nice. So really the benefit there as a 3PL specifically is not having to say no to opportunities as they come in.
Right, yeah.
SnapFulfil is so robust. It's not just a pick-pack functionality. It's lock control, serialization, expiry, all of the different stock moves, and the configurations that you can really cater to those specific needs of a customer while taking full advantage of the efficiencies of all that Snap has to offer. So it was really critical in the growth of that 3PL, which was ultimately acquired. I took a year off, started another 3PL in 2019, brought SnapFulfil without even a question. And again, we took that one, started out with about 6 users, and we scaled that very quickly in 18 months, 50 clients, some large, organizations, complex implementations, and that was a multi-site as well. So, and then I exited that and joined the team here at SnapFulfil. So I've been about 13, 14 months now. It's been great. So I'm able to kind of take the message out to other customers and really help with implementations and how people are using the system and drive the value message that we have.
Yeah.
There's actually another interesting point. There were 2 3PLs that Brian had on SnapFulfil, and then we had a customer on SnapFulfil in different parts of the world who then reached out to Brian and became a customer of Brian using SnapFulfil as well. So that was a very interesting project as well.
Yeah, so we had implemented one of Snap's customers into our environment, which was it was a nice smooth setup. Actually, my second 3PL, we had a customer who had a company that used SnapFulfil. He started a new business. Wanted to use a 3PL, basically called SnapFulfil and said, what 3PLs have Snap? And came to use that because he knew that even if he wasn't the operator of the warehouse, he wanted SnapFulfil to be managing his products. So,
because he has such a good experience. Wow, that's interesting. So, I mean, nobody better to tell the brand story, I guess, now on the team, right? Yeah, he's been through it in all different ways. So really interesting stuff, and obviously, that implementation and the scalability, I think we can see in your story, right? The scalability is right there in the story that you told. So really interesting that you're able to have that flexibility and be able to do all those things with such a robust system. Now, we're here at ProMat, right? And the big deal at these shows is the new announcement, right? So you guys have a new announcement just on Monday, right? I believe day 1. So tell us a little bit about this SnapControl.
Yeah, so on Monday we launched SnapControl. It's similar to you're talking about that implementation and that speed to value. So SnapControl is a multi-agent orchestration layer. So it's embedded within SnapFulfil, but can also be a standalone product, and it's going to control all of the automation resources within the warehouse environment. So it's automation agnostic. So whether you have AMRs and sortation, carton making machines, SnapFulfil is going to be able to integrate that and then control those messages back and forth and control those resources. From my perspective as a user and an operator, this really offers the piece that's missing with automation in the warehouse. It's flexible, so if something goes down in the warehouse, you're able to move that process or those tasks, as we refer to them in Snap, to another resource. So if it's an AMR that goes down, you can shift those tasks to an RF operator, perhaps. Someone forgot to charge the AMRs overnight. So you have that flexibility, and the other thing is, the real efficient warehouses of the future aren't going to have one automation. They're not going to have just AMRs. They're going to have autonomous forklifts. They're going to have AMRs. They're going to have conveyance. And you need a single point talking to a robust Tier 1 WMS to handle all of that. And I really, that's what SnapControl provides. So we're really excited about it. And we have deployed it. So we have it working with 6 Rivers and pack size at a site in Salt Lake. Smitha had a lot to do with that as our Chief Product Officer, so I'll let her talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, let's hear it, Smitha.
Brian actually covered all of it, but the point that's really important is speed. Been through multiple companies, integrating different systems, and always takes like 6 months to get everything smooth. In fact, pack size, the last integration we did was literally a month, and we were ready to go. And so what that does is tomorrow, if a customer wants a picking system or a conveyor system, etc., we already have the framework set up. We already have the messages, the responses, the actions, all of that set up. It could be a brand new system, robotic system, and all it would be is just a couple of weeks of mapping and testing, and you'd be good to go. So I think that's really important because potential clients who've been reaching out have all been saying, well, how soon can I go live with it? And it's like,
we want to go live tomorrow.
And even with this particular use case, it was interesting. 2 weeks before go live, they came up with a use case saying, well, there's this type of product, pouchable, that I don't want go through pack size, and all it was a simple rules change, no development work, no downtime, nothing, and so the rules engine being able to just move work around however you want it and allow our customers to control that as well, just cuts out a lot of dev work.
Yeah, and I think that's a great thing because, like you touched on there, the customer is like, when can I go live, right? When can I go live? And I think, even if we look at, a show like this, and it's in the beginning of the year, technically, right? But I think a lot of people are coming here probably maybe, just getting over the shock of peak season or holiday, right? And thinking about, oh my God, how do I make it better this year? And sometimes I think in the past what we've seen is that it's like, well, if you're looking at a solution here, like it may not make it in time for this peak season, right? And I think people are kind of scrambling in a sense to be like, well, no, I need something for this peak season. So the fact that you're able to do that and have those faster implementations and go lives, I think is really a great thing that people can embrace, and certainly even move the industry forward more and give more accessibility to people that are just trying to get into automation or utilize that scalability that SnapFulfil does, right? So, I mean, as you're at the show here, I mean, what has been some of the reaction and responses to SnapControl?
Well, when they hear about the time, it's initial disbelief, right? But then you have people come up to us. In fact, we just left the booth, and the person from the customer was out there, and he actually told someone, "No, we lived through it. It's true."
Yeah.
Like we went
That's good testimonial. Yeah.
So I think that bit, and just having customer testimonial about go lives, etc. Because SnapFulfil, that was as a WMS, was our biggest win. That it's not going to be a 4-month, 5-month WMS big system set up. So that definitely has been a winning point. Another thing that's come up is proof of concepts. I'm hearing that really often. Typically, a proof of concept would be really expensive to set up. You may as well just do the implementation, right?
Yeah.
But now, being able to just connect quickly and bring up a proof of concept, don't need to have everything in place, but the main integration bits, right, in place. So I expect to see a lot of proof of concepts coming up, especially from the bigger customers, before they decide to roll out to multiple sites across the country as well.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a good point about how SnapControl moves the industry forward a bit.
Right.
What it does, it really removes a barrier of entry for smaller or mid-sized companies who might have said, well, I need a WMS, and now I want to automate, but then I have to figure out how to integrate that, and that is a separate project for them usually, the integration, which automation. With SnapControl, they now have the solution there, and they're able to attain that roadmap faster for their automation plans. I think we're going to see a lot of activity in some of the conversations we're having with mid-sized 3PLs, the 10 to 20 site type 3PLs that know, hey, 2 to 5 years, I want to do some level of automation. Not sure where it fits in my operation, but we want to do it. Now we can move that forward because we know we have the flexibility to change the automation. We don't get locked in to this type of automation for this specific operation. We can change it as the operations change. So I think we're going to see a lot more activity coming out of this show around folks who have automation on their roadmap, now see it as something that's attainable and attainable in a shorter period of time. I think the time is the big unbelievable piece. We saw it with SnapFulfil, and we're going to see it again with SnapControl once we have these testimonials, which we do. People really start to hit the I believe button. So
and I mean, it sounds like everybody around it is selling it for you a little bit.
The biggest win also, I've been doing ProMat and a couple of these trade shows for a while, and this is a very unique opportunity. We've had robotic vendors come up and actually talk about partnerships. And I think partnerships now in the supply chain industry, it's going to be a very interesting time as, there's just a lot of players in the market, and so be able to partner with them and then also be able to kind of provide value, right, in various industries as well, using them as vendors or partners.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense because we look and I mean, there's so many automation and robotics companies out here, like on the floor, and it's not really like one company is going to hit every box for you, right? So there's going to have to be that integration and communication between the two. So having something like SnapControl to be able to do that in between and like as you start to grow, like as Brian said, like you don't want to get stuck with one automation and then 3 years from now, like, well, it's not necessarily the right fit anymore for what we're doing. Maybe we pivoted our business because something happened, right? Or we found another niche or something we could fill in, but you don't want to be kind of cornered into that. You want to be able to scale, as you guys said, and grow and also pivot at the same time. So having something like that, I think, makes a lot of sense. I'm curious from like an attendee's perspective, like someone that's coming in, maybe like a Brian years ago when he was starting a 3PL and thinking like, I need to get some automation into my facility. What should they be thinking of in terms of, because it's easy. It's easy to come in here and say like, oh, this looks so cool, like maybe this is it, right? But you got to think about like the back side of it and the system side and all these things. Like, how is it going to integrate? How is it going to communicate? I mean, what would be your advice for an attendee coming in, looking to get into automation or expand their automation journey on the system side? Like, what should they be keeping in mind and what should they be thinking about?
Yeah, I think a couple of things, right? Knowing their operation and knowing the pain points, whether it's labor in a particular area or whether it's just process or warehouse driven or other system issues, right? That may cause it. Because we've seen customers who say, well, packing actually is the main issue, picking not so much. Right. The WMS actually is pretty efficient in picking, and because of that, there isn't a labor struggle there. Yeah. And so actually knowing which areas to concentrate on, definitely crawl before sprinting. Getting all the automation in, even if you think you require all of it, in one go may not always be the best use of time as well. Right. So just kind of looking at those areas and implementing and then looking at, but one of the biggest things would be, again, flexibility. Right. Flexibility both from a vendor perspective as well as your WMS, or let's say in this case SnapControl, right? Mm-hmm. So if the AMR is unable to prioritize work or is unable to switch between, can your orchestration platform from the WMS SnapControl take over that work? Or even if there isn't a piece within SnapControl or an AMR or a packing machine, etc. How customizable is that? Because the last thing you want is to implement, let's say, a packing machine and find, wait, I've got all different size products and orders, but now this only fits a certain profile, right? And then you're having to change workflows and go back to square one and things like that. So I think just knowing your areas and timing as far as implementation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think another area is being willing to find and look for best in class for all of your providers, right?
Right.
Don't be a little wary of the one-stop shop.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to say, hey, we'll do it all for you. We'll do your warehouse management and your automation. Make sure that you're getting the best in class of every vendor, a modular approach, so you have the best WMS, the best automation for your use case. So I think if you're just starting out on the journey, ask a lot of questions and really find what's going to impact your operation both now, but as you scale and longer term. So those are key. There's a lot out there, as I'm sure you've seen, you can fall in love with the first few you talk to, but there's a lot of providers out there that can be really flexible, like Smitha said, and provide you with best in class in different areas. So like I was saying, I really see the automation solutions in a warehouse being a lot of different types of products, and that's so if you're on that journey, find the most impactful and find the best provider that's doing it.
Yeah, and I think that's great advice from both of you. I mean, it makes total sense, and like you said, you want to be able to do best in class, and I think something like SnapControl, right, allows you to be able to have that flexibility and do that and ensure, like, if you bring something else in from one provider and then something from another provider, you're going to be able to integrate that and make that work with your WMS as well. So really great stuff from the both of you, Brian and Smitha. So thank you so much for coming by the booth and telling us about SnapFulfil and SnapControl as well. If people are interested in learning more about SnapFulfil or SnapControl, how can they do that?
Well, our website, SnapFulfil.com. I think there's a lot of good material there around SnapControl now that we've launched as well. But yeah, our team's ever ready to do demos as well for Snap, and then of course our wonderful commercial team.
Yeah. We're ready to have those conversations for sure. Yeah.
All right, great. And we'll definitely put all that information at thenewwarehouse.com as well. So thank you both once again for stopping by the booth here at ProMat 2023.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks for having us, Kevin.